After 10 seconds, you can open today's session.
Okay, okay. So I think
now the YouTube channel is okay. Zoom Master,
okay.
this broadcasting is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Dear ICOM colleagues, thank you for investing your time with us today. Today is Thursday, 17 June 2021. I am Dr. Mishkatullah, working in Pakistan Museum of Natural History. And in ICOM Pakistan, I am working as, I'm doing my duties as a member ICOM board. For the last 3 days, I think we have a full length discussion on different Silk Route related topics like archaeology, anthropology, heritage, cultural, and everything. Today, we have amazing session on science and art on Silk Route, which is jointly organized by ICOM Pakistan and College of Art and Design, University of Punjab. But before we dive into session, I would like to add that Silk Route was not only meant for trade between East and West, but it is also a source of ideas exchange between multiple cultures that were laying along that route. This route let us, the community, learn and share their experiences. These exchanges let societies learn, update their knowledge in astronomy, for travel, mathematics, medicine, but also deliver technologies like in irrigation, water, wind power, craft technology, paper making, gunpowder, and silkworm. Now with these opening remark, um, I will introduce this session keynote speaker. He's Mr. Eric G. Dhamali. He is president. He's president. He's president Simuset, vice president ICOM Arab. He's also member of Strategic Plan Committee ICOM, and currently he is serving as director Marco Telecom Museum, Morocco. He will deliver his talk on Silk Route heritage connection with art and science. So over to Mr. Eric Dhamli. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to share my screen. It's okay?
Yes.
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank ICOM Pakistan for this kind invitation. And I am very happy to be with you here in this international virtual conference on museums. And I congratulate you also about the choice of the topic, because Silk Route, it's not only a trade route, but a route full of heritage and cultural diversity. And for this, my presentation, I will give an example of some Pakistani Silk Road heritage, but this presentation can be made also for other countries of Silk Roads. Pakistan here is just an example, but we can make it also available for the other countries. You all know that Pakistan is in the main crossroad of all Silk Roads, and she has a rich civilization, and especially an Islamic civilization. And you all know what the legacy of the Islamic heritage and the scientific legacy to the humanity in every sciences like mathematics, physics, medicines, etc. So this double civilization, face of the civilization in Pakistan, road silk heritage and Islamic civilizations make Pakistan a good example for the diversity of culture. Also, I was happy to know that Pakistan, in a national level, you are trying to revive the old Silk Roads, not only through heritage, but through other initiative, which is a good example for the international cooperation, because culture is better than politics. So if you use culture, you can do miracles. So instead of continuing making political meetings, etc. And what's the role of museums? I think that museums not only should, but they must play a big role in this initiative by making the link between local communities and the heritage through the collection and through also some activities like forums and open discussions. And also museums can play a big role, especially in the post-pandemic situation, because in the current situation, we all notice that many museums in the world are suffering from the lack of economic incomes and etc. So museums are, we all in ICOM ask museums to look for new business models and to look for new income sources, so as to face this post-pandemic, the pandemic situation. We are going to suffer from it at least 3 years or 4 years ahead. So, but for the topic of today, I think that yes, for the theme of today, art and science, I think that this heritage, Silk Road heritage, make a perfect junction between art and science. And everywhere in Silk Road's area will find this diversity. But I can tell two different visions. For local communities, when you ask them why you are doing this beautiful things and beautiful heritage, they can respond, we are just continuing to practice an instant and ancestral skills. This is the vision of the local communities. But for us, museums or scientists, or we explain it from another way of view, because we are looking for scientific signification of some skills they are doing. But I put the question, through which vision should we act as museum professionals? Should we act as the local community think, or we should add some scientific explanation to their behaviors and their heritage? I think that we should make the combination between the two visions, so as to serve the community, because the role of the museum is to serve the community, and every museum who does not play this role will not be accepted by the society. So the role of the museum, it's I put it between two visions. It's push and pull. So instead of pushing local community to the museum, I think that we should help local community and push them to express themselves and choose their own conception of their community future and their heritage. So the museum can play the role of pushing instead of pulling. And I will start with the example of Basant Kite Festival, which is a good combination between art and science. And I add also spirituality. So for the art design, we all know that the kites are a beautiful realization based on real and mythical creators, and we make a reference to flying insect birds, and etc. This is the design and art part. For the art language, so the Silk Road people measure life and happiness in terms of color. Basant Kite Festival is celebrated to welcome spring. So the design of the kites are made through colors, and each color it's an expression of happiness. For the technical and scientific issue, so making kites, it's not simple practice. So, but the local community are doing this automatically because it's an ancestral technical practice. And for the spirituality, not only in Pakistan, but in all the countries who are celebrating this kind of festivals, they are using the kite to carry special messages to God, to Allah. So there is also this part of the festival. But the current situation, Besant Kite Festival, it's banned. I don't think it's in total, but in the majority of the region, it's banned for today, because there is some accidents, and also maybe there is some pollution issues. But banning it's not a solution, because in time of crisis, people need culture. Basant means happiness. So if you ban it, you don't let people to continue celebrating happiness. Banning it's not a solution, because when you ban this kind of festivals, you are taking away from the local community the one true, unprompted, all-inclusive happiness they loved and indulged in. So, and also we don't forget also the economic impact. And you can tell me that it's a reaction of the official authorities. We should respect it. I agree, but why it works elsewhere? So I found in a newspaper that Besant Festival, it's planned to it's celebrated in England, France, Germany, Bangladesh, etc. And the journalist and this article by this sentence: what Lahore lost has been an immense gain for the entire world. So I think that in this situation, museums should intervene and should act and play their role. Museum can play an essential role in making this festival a safe experience. Museum can be among the organization communities of this festival, of course, with the local community and other associations. And museums can make people aware about the protection of the environment. For example, we can make a guide for the participants. Only registered participants can participate. Only labeled kites to avoid the use of metallic wires. Only labeled kites, it means traditionally made in Pakistan, 100% Pakistani, for example, kites. All kites will be collected after the end of the festival for the protection of the environment and the delimitation of the flying zone. So if we make this kind of small guides for participants, I think that we cannot have many problems. So also this festival also it's a role of the museum to make people proud of their artistic and technical heritage. So we can add also in the guide that only hand traditional made kites are authorized, and special we can make also a special award for the best kite for a small committee who will collect the best and the beautiful kites to be, and we will give a small prize to these kites. And also, we can start in this festival a campaign of collection of kites for museums collection in the future also. So also museum can play a role also in this festival to make the link between heritage in the future. So kites, now we have festival of drones. So we can make this link between new technology and the own technology also. And the solution that I suggest for this festival is to make two parts. One part is for the traditional Basant kites, and the second one, it's International Drone Festival. And we can combine between heritage and new technology. And this is the role of the museum, because the museum should continue to live even in the present and for the future. And also, I have a small recommendation. Why not think about listing this festival in the World Intangible Heritage, not only as a Pakistani heritage, but also we can make a common project between many countries and to present a common project to UNESCO. I will end by two examples. It's Nowruz Festival, the Spring Festival, and Suri Jagek. I'm sorry if I cannot spell it as it is in Pakistan, but I can tell that Nowruz Festival also, it's a good example of skill root heritage unity, because it is celebrated in 20 countries, and the name every country is pronounced it differently, but it's the same heritage. And also the scientific side of this festival is the astronomy. So Nowruz was determined by astronomical calculations, and we should insist on that. And also for the second example, which is the Kallasha heritage, it's Suri Jagek. It's the observation of the universe, sun, etc. So it's a traditional meteorological and astronomical practice based on the observation of the sun, moon, stars, etc. So this is a good example to talk about the technical heritage of root silk festival heritage, and it's a good example. For the museum, I have only, I made some, it's not an obligation, but just a proposition for our colleagues from the National Museum of Science and Technology and the Pakistan Museum of Natural History. This is just an example. For example, during these festivals, we can make joint temporary exhibitions about old astronomy tools, for example, and the Pakistani Museum of Natural History can speak about biodiversity, spring flowering plants, etc., because we are celebrating the spring. Also, for the other practice, Suri Jagek Festival, I suggest, for example, for the Kallasha Door Museum, which is the local museum of this community, can combine with National Museum of Science and Technology so as to make a traveling exhibition among the local communities and speak about astronomy, how our ancestors were using old technology, and what is the technology of today and for the future. And I will finish with two propositions, other ideas which can be practiced not only in Pakistan but other countries. For example, we can make international sport car racing competition across the old Silk Road caravans. So it's a revivification of these old Silk Road caravans by a new competition which will serve the community. And you can imagine the economic impact on local communities when you have this kind of activities. The second one is to organize the international marathon competition in Old Silk Road Valley in Pakistan and other countries, because the purpose of all these activities is to serve the local community. So the museum should serve the community. This is the first idea, I think, because the majority of the benefits should go to the community. And when the museum helps the community, so it will be accepted by the community. And when the museum will suffer from an emergency, for example, a fire or an earthquake or something, you will find beside you the local community, which will help the museum. So museum can push to an auto-organization of local communities to use their cultural heritage for a sustainable future. Museums which do not listen to their communities will be rejected and they will finish by closing its doors. So this is my final thought, and thank you for your invitation.
Thank you,
Very much.
Sharki. Thank you very much for your talk. Is there any question? You can put that, because you can. There is also possibility you can write your questions, because Sharki Damli is going to some meeting in as a president of CUMISAT. So I think he will answer these questions of if you can send that in chat room. Okay.
I just want
Thank
to
you very
appreciate
much.
Dr. Damali's suggestions and recommendations for intangible cultural heritage, and putting it in that UNESCO list. It was incredible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think I would also appreciate, it was very comprehensive article, and it covers most of the topics, or most of the heritage of Pakistan as well. Thank you so much for sharing the wonderful knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome.
Yeah. So is there any question? Sharki?
Yes.
So
I think there is no question.
Okay, I'm here
Yeah.
with you because I should leave at 11 after 40 minutes. So I'm still here with you.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Hi, this is Nidhi here. That was a wonderful talk on Basant. So I have a question. Other than the Indian subcontinent and China, where we know we fly kites, is this practice of kite flying anywhere else there, say in the Persianate world or in Central Asia? I'm just curious to know, along the Silk Route.
All I know that it's in China, in Pakistan, but the other countries I don't know. But the abroad community, which is abroad, the Pakistani community in US and in Great Britain, there is some local associations which celebrate Basant Kite Festival in USA and the UAK. So this is a good thing, and local associations should also cooperate with this kind of association abroad, so as to make it an international festival, not only in Silk Road area.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there any question? So no, time is over. Thank you, Damli, for your thought-provoking presentation. Now now I will come for my presentation, please. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Miskatullah,
Yes.
do you see your presentation? Okay. Anytime
I
you
can see that. Yeah. So today I will speak on natural history and science-based knowledge on Silk Route. Let's start with the in this presentation. First, I will discuss about natural history and environment of around the Silk Route, and then I will discuss one of our project that is based on the use of natural history collections for creating an environment for agriculture commodity trade. You know that 225 million years ago, the Earth was not as it is nowadays. It was a Gondwana land that that split up through tectonic activities. It drifted into the sea, and it got the shape which is looking nowadays. That is we have now 7 continents on Earth. And this actually drifting of these continent resulted speciation, and speciation in the Earth, and a different zoological region created there. Like there are 7 zoogeographical regions where different species are restricted, and they are separated for millions of years from one another. So there is evolution among them, and there are this is why there are 7 zoogeographical regions. Silk Road actually falls on 3 zoogeographical regions. That is the Palearctic, where most of the China, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Turkey, and other countries fall. Second is the Oriental region, that is where southern part of India and Punjab and Sindh area of Pakistan, and other Southeast Asian states falls. And third is there is a slight touch of Afrotropical region. If we come to the floral regions, then Silk Road floral region falls in Indo-African region. That is its sub-region is the Indian one, that in which there is a southern part of Pakistan, some type of China, Iran, and other Southeast Asian falls. And second is the Western and West and Central Asian region. Another is on the east side of China, that is the Eastern Sino-Japanese region. And there is another region which is near Turkey, which is the Mediterranean floral region. Silk Route, actually we know that this is as we know that the Silk Road is situated in an area where is a very large human population is living there, and this large population actually put pressure on natural resources and biodiversity. Therefore, because of these threats, there is a biodiversity is under threat due to human habitation. We have 7 biodiversity hotspots in Silk Road region. That is the mountain of the southwest China. These are the actually hotspots which are situated on the Silk Road. First is the Himalayan. Second is which is situated on the arc of Himalayan range. Second is the mountain. Central Asian mountains, Caucasus area, Mediterranean basin, mountains of Southeast China, and Indo-Burma region, and others. So Silk Road region is also have a wonderful drainage system from Himalayan mountain. There emerges Indus, Ganges, Brahmaputra, and there is a Murghab river, which is from Afghanistan and running through Turkmenistan. There is Darya, which is one of the main central river of the Central Asia that runs in Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. Zarfashan, which were earlier called as Sogod River in Uzbekistan, Sardarya, Yarkand, and Euphrates. That runs in Syria, Iraq, and Turkey. There is a dire need of I think yes. Mountain passes are not only passage for traders, but it also serves as migration corridor for large animals from one region to another region. So there is a number of mountain passes on Silk Route. I will mention some of them. That is the Iron Gates, Khyber Pass, Punjab Pass, Colleque Pass, and so on. There are different ecologies on Silk Route which harbor very unique flora and fauna. That is the first is the permanent snow zone and cool desert that harbors K2, Mount Everest, and Rakaposhi Mountains. The other are the alpine zones, subalpine zone, tropical deciduous forest, alpine dry steppes that are in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan areas, arid subtropical habitat, tropical thorn forest that are very common in lower altitudes and near deserts. And there are a large number of lakes which harbor unique flora and fauna. This region also have very unique wildlife species like Marco Polo sheep, markhor, Himalayan ibex, blue sheep, marmot, and brown bear, snow leopard, tiger, wolf, foxes, lynx, civets. The snow leopard, it is found in Pakistan, China, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan. So this animal is very widely distributed, and it never follows the regional or country boundaries. So animal goes across the border here and there. This is the lynx, Marco Polo sheep, and the barking deer. National Park and Biosphere has been developed to protect habitat along with their flora, fauna, and local communities in a sustainable way. There is dire need of developing new national parks and biosphere reserves in the region. For example, in China, there are 34 national biosphere reserves. But if we see in Pakistan, there are only 2 biosphere reserves, and in Kazakhstan there are 10 to 12 biosphere reserves. But in the rest of the states, there is a less number of biosphere reserves. The main biosphere reserves are the Great Altai Transboundary Biosphere Reserve, which is a transboundary reserve between Kazakhstan and Russian Federation. Saykul Lake Biosphere Reserve, Mountain Katkal, Khunjrab National Park in Pakistan, and Central Karakoram National Park in Pakistan. In keeping in view this, beside this, in keeping view the above environments and flora and fauna, which is unique, unique in the world. Is going to initiated a strategy which is named as Belt and Road Initiative. The main purpose of this initiative was to connect Asia with Africa, Europe via land and marine route, which will improve regional integration, increase trade between the countries, where they can exchange their agriculture commodities, they can trade technology and many things. Similarly, when there will be trade, this will stimulate economic growth. But all these roads which are passing through different ecologies and different environment will definitely have impact on these roads, on environment along these roads, and on the agricultural practices, and on the communities at large. In BRI project, some major projects have been initiated, like Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, in Pakistan, India pipeline project, in which a pipeline will run from Turkmenistan to India, passing through Afghanistan and Pakistan. Cross-border transboundary transport accord between Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan. CASA 1000, in which hydropower infrastructure has been developed in Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, in which road infrastructure, power generation, and communication has been prioritized. Tajikistan cotton processing complex, Afghanistan pipeline processing plants. These project will impact on the nature surrounding the Silk Route, which is a direct resource destruction will be resulted from the when road will be constructed from the rocks of the area, and because of raw material extraction from the mountains and other areas, there will be an increased access to natural resources and wildlife. Because of road construction, there will be easy access to national park and natural resources. So more if when people will be visit these areas, there will be great impact on flora and fauna of that areas. There will be habitat fragmentation due to road construction. There will be the increase of road kill when animal are migrating on the road. There is chances of road kill, and there will increase wildlife trafficking due to increased regional connectivity and travel. Because of linear connectivity in agriculture, there will be a spread of quarantine insect pests, because when commodities will move from one country to another country, there will be chances of introduction of diseases, crop diseases, and some insect pests that are not native to those countries. So on this road, following agriculture commodities will be will go to and fro from one country to another country. That is the cotton, oat, wheat, dry food, fruit and vegetables, spices, honey, processed food, skin, fur, livestock. So keeping in view these developments under Pakistan Museum of Natural History actually developed a project, a bilateral project with the Chinese government. That was actually that was related to the bilateral project of Pakistan Museum of Natural History and Institute of Zoology, Chinese Academy of Sciences initiated a project in 2020. In this project, Natural History Museum beetle collection digitization will be carried out, and field work will be carried out by the PMNH and Institute of Zoology. There is Auto ID platform software and database will be developed. Software will be used for clear consignment at quarantine, check post, and of the both countries. As we know that insect identification is a very difficult task. It is very easy to identify an insect just like it is an ant or it is a fly or other thing. But identifying its order, then its family, then genus and species, that become difficult when scale of identification is raised. In this project, in Auto ID platform project, actually Natural History Museum beetle collection will be used. The previous one and new beetle will also be collected through field work. These beetles will be identified by taxonomists. Their 3D imaging will be prepared in the lab. And that 3D images will be, along with other ecological data, will be stored in a database. And that database data will be shared through internet or network. And plant protection, and this data will be available on the plant protection check post, where where agriculture commodities arrive on the border of a country. So at that check post, they will check the agriculture commodity sample, and if they found any insect, particularly beetle or other thing, so that will be that could be easily identified through this database. This is the system from which we will produce 3D images, and these type of images were produced from those cameras. At check post, when plant production staff when they arrive any agriculture commodity consignment at a border, plant protection staff will sample from those consignment. They will check it on port facility. If some insect or insect pests that is detected in that consignment, they will sample. They will make a simple photograph. That photograph will be loaded through a mobile or through a computer system on database. A database will identify that insect, either it is safe insect or it is an invasive insect species. If it is invasive insect species, that consignment will not able to cross that border, and that consignment will be returned. Or if that consignment have those insects that are safe to enter that country, that consignment will be left to go inside. Earlier, this type of check posts were very problematic for the agriculture commodity trade. Because if when they collect the sample from those agriculture commodities consignments, that were sent to some taxonomist, which take 4 to 5 days for report. So those trucks or those consignment usually have to stay on border for 4 to 5 days. And if there is some perishable commodities in that truck or in that consignment, so they get sometime they got lost their products. And this project stakeholders were plant protection agencies, livestock quarantine department, food security department, traders, and natural history museum collections. Step to be taken. It is proposed that natural history museums should develop a regional network and share their biodiversity related data with each other. Other is that Silk Route states should become part of FATO ID platform. More insect group should be added to that ID platform. And this type of initiative should be taken with health, environmental, and conservation agencies also. Thank you very much. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor.
Yeah. Is there any question?
So we can take the questions at the end of the session.
Okay.
But it was really impressive. And
so with this, it is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. Now I will invite my colleague, Dr. Syed Anil Ahmed Gilani. He is Associate Curator at Botanical Sciences Division, Pakistan Museum of Natural History. He will give his talk on Silk Route floral diversity and its utilization by local communities. So over to Dr. Syed Anil Gilani.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. And I'm very thankful to my colleague, Dr. Mishkat. Can all of you can hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, but kindly, Dr. Mishkatullah has removed their screen share so he can share his presentation.
Can you see my screen?
Dr. Miskatullah, please close your presentation.
So I'm here.
Dr. Miskatullah, can you hear me? Oh, okay. Please close your presentations.
Yes, can you see my screen?
Your presentation on the screen now. Please close. Dr. Anil will follow on.
Looks like he's not there.
I think you cannot see my screen as Mr. Dr. Mishkat. I think he has not left his screen, is it?
Dr. Anil, please, you can share now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will.
Please make it full screen, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So can you see my screen now? Okay.
Okay, okay, thank you.
First of all, I'm very thankful to all my ICOM colleagues and especially Dr. Mishkat and all other colleagues for inviting me and giving me a chance to share my deliberations. And my topic of my talk is Silk Route Flora Diversity and its utilization by the local communities. So it's a very interesting topic, as the floral diversity in Pakistan, is very, very rich. And when we talk about the Silk Route, it's the northern part of Pakistan. And when we started from Punjab, that is the border of China, and then we extend to the Arabian Sea, and in the south to the Sindh, and then we go to the Balochistan, that is the Gawadar we have. So the Silk Route is a network of trade routes connecting the east and west, as you all are familiar with it. So it was the center of economic, cultural, political, and religious interactions between these regions from 2nd century to the 18th century. And definitely, as the name Silk Route refers to the routes leading from China to Central Asia and Middle East and subcontinents and beyond. So this is the history that Baron, he coined the name as Silk Route, and he produced maps during the stay in China and depicted trade routes between China and Europe. And Marco Polo also was the one who claimed to travel the entire length of Silk Route. So it was a route to carry the silk, especially, so it was named as Silk Route, and other condiments and tea and other goods from China to the subcontinents, and definitely a very, very important trade route. So I will not talk in detail, but I'll go forward and share with other information. So you can see this map. So the screen is clear to everyone? The screen is clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay,
It's clear.
thank you.
You carry on.
So this is the ancient Silk Route you can see, and extending from, from China, from Mongolia, from China, and then going to the Southeast Asia, and so on. So this is definitely it is a trade route. Hassan, when we talk about Pakistan and about the floral diversity, so I will talk about the Silk Route extending from Punjab that is the northern part of the Pakistan, the alpine zone, subalpine zone, and snow-covered area. And we have a common border with China. So when we started from Gilgit along with Hunza River, it reaches the Passu village and then crosses the river towards the Colleque Pass, and then entered the Xinjiang, and then Tashgargan and Yarkand and Kashgar. So this is the whole route, and Hunza was a transitory point as it was used by caravan travelers and pilgrims. So Hunza still is the transitory point for the whole route. That is, nowadays we are having a common trade project. You can see a big project with China, that is the CPAC and the Belt and Road Initiative. So this is also part of this common trade between Pakistan, China, and Southeast Asia. So this picture is from Atabad Lake in Hunza. It's very near to the Hunjara border. So with the passage of time, the Silk Route definitely was replaced by Karakoram Highway, that is called KKH, and it was started in 1966. And so many workers from Pakistan and China worked, and it was completed and opened officially in 1986. So now all of you are familiar with KKH, and this is a very important highway. And it is also the same highway which is the part of the Silk Route, or nowadays called Karakoram Highway, and is also the CPAC route, which is extending from Khunjara up to the Gwadar, that is the coastal area of Pakistan and Balochistan. So importance of Gilgit-Baltistan is the Gilgit and Baltistan has increased with its construction as well as with the start of the CPAC, that is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and the Belt and Road Initiative and cooperation through the Gwadar Port. You can see the Gwadar Port in the picture. And most of the times when we talk about the plants, not only the plants in the live form they are used, but in the form of the condiments or dried parts of the plants, they are used by the people. And also this trade is used between Pakistan, China, and other parts of the world. So this is about Gilgit-Baltistan, is the northern Pakistan and the territory, and it has the common borders with the Wakhan corridor with Afghanistan, and in the north with Xinjiang region of China to the east and northeast, and Indian Administrative Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh to the southeast. So Gilgit-Baltistan has a very important position, geographic position in Pakistan. That is, it is connected with so many other corridors or the common borders on the different passes that Dr. Mishkat has already mentioned in his presentation. So the pictures you can see the Naltar Bala with the Ashkuman peak, and Rakaposhi is on the way to Hunza. So these are the different districts of Gilgit-Baltistan, like Baltistan, Gahan, Cheskardu, Shigar, Karmang, and Gilgit has Gizar, Gopis, Yasin, Hunza, Nagar, and Jamir have Astor, Jamir. So these are different districts, their capitals, their areas, and population. Just information for you. So the northern part of Pakistan, especially this Gilgit-Baltistan, has outstanding floral diversity, and the region is situated definitely in a very strategic geographic location. And I personally have visited this area for so many times, and collection of the plant material for the Natural History Museum Herbaria. So most of the people they are dependent either directly or indirectly on this floral diversity, and the main focus of the people is the healthcare system as folklore medicine by the local communities. So people are dependent, and they are using these indigenous plants for the cure of their different ailments, and they have their different folklores. They have different indigenous knowledge. They have different stories they shared with us. And in this picture, the person is here on the glacier on way to Naltar Bala in Gilgit, and he is offering me the snow from the glacier, ice from the glacier, and it is also medicinal, which is used for the if you use this ice or this glacier ice, this is very useful for the stomach ache. So this is also medicinal. So this is the latest Silk Route from Kashgar to Gwadar. So when we talk about the floral diversity of Pakistan, we have more than 6,000 species of higher plants, and most of these plants are medicinal, and definitely other than medicine, they can also, the people also utilize them as food, either as fruits, as vegetables, as condiments, or spices. So directly or indirectly, they are dependent on these plants. If we talk about the marketable plants along the Silk Route, uh, so we have definitely the most of the market is connected with for the trade of condiments, especially from China to Pakistan, and so on. And the fruits, especially, like one of the plant, very important plant is Hypophil rhamnoides, which is called the, I will show you the picture in the next slides, which is called the sea buckthorn. So sea buckthorn is one of the plant which is very important. It is grown on the both sides of the border in China as well as in Pakistan, in Gilgit-Baltistan, and it is used as a fruit, as well as $1 million industry is there in China. They are making jams, marmalades, and other food products, juices from this single plant. So China is trading these plants in the region, in Pakistan and other areas, successfully through Pakistan, so through this Belt and Road Initiative. So this, the route you can see in the map as well, and a very active trade between Pakistan and China and other parts of the world, and definitely the local people are involved in these connections. So in this picture, you can see the bulk of dried plants, as well as on the left side, you can see these are mushrooms called Ganoderma, which is present in Pakistan. It is present on the stem of the tree. You can see these growing these Ganoderma mushrooms, and they are anti-cancer drug. They are used in anti-cancer medicine or drugs, and transported all around the world. And the other plant is thymus. It is also medicinal, and people use this plant for making tea, that is herbal tea, and especially when the season is very severe in the winter season. So if you have cough, cold, and flu, this thymus, the smaller the plant with small leaves on the right side of the slide, this plant is used in the tea for making themselves warm, and it is also a cure from the cough and flu, which is very common in the winter season. So more than 600 species of flowering plants in Pakistan are utilized as medicine, and 500 of these are globally significant and studied, available. Around 50,000 traditional healers and informant pansaris. Like pansaris are the person who are, which are related, which are connected with this business of the herbal plants, and they are registered in Pakistan. So big number of pansaris, and also these pansaris are available in Gilgit-Baltistan and other parts of the country. So these utilize and sell 400 to 600 plant species for their medicine, culture, traditional, and spiritual benefits. Spiritual means that some of the plants, they're sacred for the people. Like one of the plant is called Schimia laureola, and when you burn the leaves of this plant, and it is very useful for your nasal tract and your sinusitis problem. So they believe that it gives you relief from different diseases, from asthma or other disease, and also the you can rescue yourself from bad evils or like things like that. So this is also one of the spiritual story, or actually it is giving you relief from your asthma or your bronchitis problems. So in Gilgit-Baltistan, with more than 300 reported species of medicine plant, and aromatic is a hotspot of medicinal plants, and the utilization is Pakistan. With all the other districts, they have these bunch of these medicinal plants, and have very high value of medicine, and definitely they are traded throughout the country. And this is continue, this thing is continued from generations to generations. So I'll show you one of the plant, which is called Capparis spinosa and family Capparadaceae. And this plant is very common when you travel from in the GB, different parts of GB, Gilgit-Baltistan. So the fruit is edible, and it is also used as pickle, in vinegar or especially in vinegar. So the pickle is consumed by people, and most of the time when the fruiting season is there, the women and children, they are picking up the fruits on the way. So very beautiful white flowers, and people are very much connected with this plant. They have good affiliation with this plant. Hyacinthus is one of the with white flowers, yellowish white flowers from Solanacea. It's called Ajwaini Kharaswani in our language, and it is also a very important plant. And ephedra is another important plant present in the area, and this ephedrine is consumed from this plant, and which is also medicine used in different kind of medicines. So the indigenous knowledge of the plants, people, they have a very strong link with these plants, and most of them, they rely on these plants, and they have so many stories. If as I was in Gilgit 10 to 15 days back, and for my field visit, and I also heard one of the story that a person who was not going to be effective, the allopathic medicine were not effective for treatment of his cancer. So he was cured from one of the plant that is called Virginia ciliata. The roots of that plant were, used, consumed by that person, and his aunt that was above 80 years old, and she told him to consume that plant. So there are so many stories that these plants are used for cure of different disease, like even cancer, and like cold, flu, and other skin disorders, and also for the cure of the different cattle they have, like sheep or goat, or large mammals like buffaloes or cows, and but they have sheep, the herds of sheep, or goats. So they also use the plants for treatment of their cattle as well. And fodder is also very they are dependent on these plants for the fodder of their cattle. But that is an issue if the people they are consuming a lot of fodder, lot of plants as fodder in the reserve area, that as Dr. Mishkat has mentioned, that we have a national park in the area, like CKNP, that Central Karakoram National Park we have in GB, and Hingol National Park is also there in the Balochistan when we extend toward the south. So if you are grazing your cattle in the national parks or the reserve area, so that is a concern, and definitely a conservation issue for the flora in that area. So people must not allow their cattle in the reserve area, but they can use the Guzara forest that is allowed to the locals for grazing of their cattle. So these are a few pictures from my visit, recent visit to Gilgit GB, and this is near Atabad Lake, interviewing the person. The questionnaires, we normally use questionnaires to fill the information from the people, and he is a local farmer, and he is a very small piece of land, but he was very informative person, and he was very kind as well. And one of his daughter is studying medicine, so you can in Karachi, so you can well imagine that how concerned they are about their education for their kids, and very kind people. So he gave a lot of information about the plants, and we noted that in these questionnaires. So this is very useful information. So knowledge sharing among the students is also very important. So when we talk about the students in any area, in any country, or in any city or any village, so students are the people who are very important for us to share the knowledge in the community, and to teach them, or to give them information about the conservation of the plants, or they can deliver that information. They can share this information to the next generation. And if the students are aware of these information regarding the use of plants, or especially the use of plants in a conservation way, in a conserved way, so they can
Please wind up.
avoid the cutting or the illicit cutting of the plants, and avoiding the conservation issues in the future. So we visited a school near Naltar Pine. It's in near Gilgit, high altitude. So this is the school with the teachers and their the principal on the left, on the right side, and the teacher is on the left side. So the students are there. So we delivered a lecture to the school children about the afforestation and deforestation, and the conservation of the plants. That how we can avoid the deforestation and the cutting of the plants, and how we can utilize the plants in a conserved manner, and not to overexploit the plants. So this is about also about the use of the plants, like the mushrooms and also the other medicinal plants, but definitely in a certain manner, not to overexploit the plants, not to overexploit the natural resources. This is a group photo with the children in the Naltar Bala, and this is Naltar Pine coming back to Gilgit. So the students are very, very, curious and very, very informative and energetic, and they are very, all the time they are available for sharing the information, or and I think it's wonderful to teach your children, especially the school children, about the utilization and the conservation of the plants. So, and when we talk about the local inhabitants, then definitely we have visited the Pandar area. This is on the way to Chitral. And when we travel from Gilgit to Chitral, on the way, we have one place that is called...
Dr. Please wind up.
Okay.
Yes.
So these are the
run short of time.
Madrasa students from the Rail Valley. So they also have a lot of information regarding the medicine, the fruit, the vegetables, the nuts, resins in their areas. So one plant I will also share with you from the southern part of the country, that is Piganum harmela. It is locally called harmal, and the smoke of the leaves or dried plant or the seeds is used for the fresh air and to avoid the insects in your home. So on the way to it's also present in the northern part, as well as it is present in the southern part near Gwadar or near Hingol when we approach to Gwadar. So in the last, I would like to share these few points regarding the conservation issues for the flora. That is, the people are definitely they are dependent, but they must avoid over exploitation, so that the plants might not get endangered or might not get extinct in future. And the grazing, I have already mentioned that the grazing must be in the Guzara forest and not in the natural forest or the reserve forest. And illegal cutting or lopping of the trees or the precious herbs and shrubs must be avoided, and by the local communities, and the students we must involve students and local government for avoiding this endangered the cutting of the plants. So local people, students, definitely they are our best tool. So just few glimpses from the field at grazing in the area that you can see the large mammal, they are grazing in the field. And this is very unfortunate that mafia is there, that cutting the timber and for their money, the lust of money. So we must avoid these kind of acts. So these are few plants like Rosa Webiana, beautiful plants, beautiful flowers in that area and going wild. Like one of the Elignus, it is called Russian olive, and this is also edible. The fruit is used by the local people. Virginia, as I have already mentioned, the anti-cancer plant, this is Virginia seriata, and also it heals different wounds inside your body as well as outside. So a very, very important plant. What the Hypophilum noidis, that is sea buckthorn, as I have already mentioned, a multi-dollar industry, multi-million-dollar industry in China, and a very important plant. So thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. Now, I think we are running short of time. I will request Bhamani Kamudo, researcher, School of Education, University of Witwatersrand, South Africa. Her talk will be on exploration, biological invasion, and extinction, the case for the Mascarene Island. So over to Bhamani.
Okay, hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you make full screen, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bamini from Mauritius, and I'm studying at WITS in South Africa. And we just listened to a wonderful presentation on the importance of biodiversity. And this is what my presentation will be about some biological loss that happened over history in the case of the Mascarene Islands. So when we speak about the Silk Road, a lot of us have the conception that it is about this part from China to Europe and a land route. But we also have had the maritime Silk Route, which reached Africa. Okay, and it was mostly about the northern part of Africa where there was the trade, and there was trade in a numerous number of commodities and items. But even if the focus was in the northern part of the Indian Ocean, the trade routes and the activities along the road, it set the pace and the impetus for further discoveries of countries and lands situated down below in the Indian Ocean, I mean, south of the equator. So, but the Indian Ocean was probably known to the Chinese during the 12th and 13th century, where they reached East Africa, which is around here. But less is known about here with the Mascarene Islands, which is about 800 kilometers to the east of Madagascar. So this is Madagascar, Mauritius, Réunion, and Rodrigues, which are islands. And this is the island where I'm speaking from, Mauritius. So very tiny compared to the large land masses that you've been speaking about during the past week. So speaking of islands, we are talking of like a drop in the middle of a vast ocean. So very long ago, there were claims that these 3 islands were visited by or discovered by the Arabs. And these are the kinds of maps or really not maps, but the best word would be drawings of the islands and representations of the islands that have been found in Arab drawings and text. But the most accurate description as we know them, like closest to how we know them today, were made by the Portuguese. And this happened after there was the trip of Vasco da Gama around the Cape of Good Hope to reach India in the quest for more trade and commodities, and also the link between the Silk Route and the spice route as we know them today. So this was Vasco da Gama's trip, but sometimes during the rough seas and cyclones and etc., some people got lost on their way to Asia, and they managed to reach the Mascarenes, which are around here. And when we speak about the Mascarene Islands, we are speaking about 3 islands and 2 countries, Mauritius, Rodrigues, and Réunion Island. So the first localization were probably, I say probably because it's not confirmed by the Arab sailors. So I'm speaking about that just to know about the dates of discovery and the links to the trade routes. And they were first recorded by the Portuguese, and then the Dutch colonized Mauritius, and subsequently Mauritius and Rodrigues became French-British colony. But Réunion has always been like French colonized. So I'm speaking about the dates here, so that we can know when humans first set foot into these islands, which were pristine islands uninhabited by men. So we've got a very young history, cultural history and heritage compared to the Asian countries, because these were isolated islands. And one of the previous speakers spoke about biodiversity hotspots. So being isolated from land masses, the species present there developed like speciation and adapted to the kind of environment that was suited for them. So there was a high degree of endemism developed. So this is the kind of a pictorial, a drawing representation of what when humans first set foot on the island, what is the kind of scene that might have greeted them. Like a lot of birds, different species of birds and trees. And these were described as islands of richness, islands of abundance in terms of biodiversity. Like Mauritius was first called by the Portuguese as Ilha de Cian, like Cian meaning swan, and that was probably an allusion to the dodo. I don't know if you know about the dodo, but it's one of the most well-known or ill-famous bird or animal because of the speed at which it went extinct following human settlement in a country. And Rodrigues was also known as the Don Galopes, like a nickname because of the slow walk of numerous and abundance of tortoises which were roaming around the island. And the island was also rich, very rich in diversity of flora. And as you can see in one of the early accounts and description, the fertile soil, judging from the large number of trees so close to one another that one could hardly walk in the forest. And the island, Mauritius and Rodrigues were like, the coastal lands were mostly palm savannas, and we also had ebony. And speaking about ebony, we are talking about, again, about richness and opportunity for trade. So when the Dutch reached the island and started occupying, I want to go back, okay, when the Dutch reached the island and started to occupy the island, they started sugarcane cultivation to export to the other countries, and sugarcane was brought, they were traded from Java, but they also exploited the palm leaves that you can see here in one of the engravings. These are palm leaves, edible palm leaves for making of alcohol, and they were engaged in hunting activities, and there were animals being introduced from other countries. So that means impacting on the pristine ecosystem. And little by little, the ecosystem started to suffer. And that was for three main reasons: the spread of invasive species, deforestation, and overexploitation. Now, when we speak about deforestation during the Dutch period, it was not like the massive deforestation of large areas, but it was mostly about selective logging, selectively cutting down and eliminating large trees like the ebony and some palms. And when we cut down like a large tree from the forest, it changes the look and the structure of the forest. So the other activity of humans on these islands were about overexploitation. And even if they didn't massively destroy the trees, but there were exploitation of the animals that were found here. Both, all three, Mauritius, Rodrigues, and Réunion Island were rich in large tortoises. And tortoises were very attractive for the settlers and also for those who are going to travel over the sea, because the grease of the tortoises could be used to cure scurvy, which is vitamin C deficiency. And it said that 500 tortoises needed to be killed to fill half a barrel of oil. And also the tortoises and the birds acted as fresh meat during the sea voyage. And this is a cross-section of a black ebony tree, and this was very prized for wood and trade between the East and the West for making valuable pieces of furniture and ship mast. So ultimately, when coupling all these together, that led to a change in the forest structure and dynamics, and this facilitated the spread of invasive species. So what are invasive species? Invasive species are actually plants and animals that are not naturally present in a country, but has been introduced. But when they come to a new country, they spread so rapidly that they disrupt the ecosystem and outcompete the native species. And during these early period, like between 1600s to 1950s, from the time humans first set foot until around now, there were a total of 23 vertebrate and invertebrate invasive species introduced in Mauritius. Now, this is why I was speaking about the dates of colonization, because invasive species were not only deliberate introduction. Some of them might have been here, or might have reached the island through shipwrecks well before the Portuguese period, before the 1600s. So probably when the Arabs visited the island or other ships just came across. So the rats could have been introduced. And here is the macaques, which is an invasive species, and the pig. So what are the effects? You can see why is a small rat like this so harmful? Actually, it predates on the eggs of birds, of native birds and reptiles, and might have been one of the major causes of extinction of the dodo. Now, when you think about a rat eating the egg of a dodo, and a dodo will be laying one egg per clutch per year. So that significantly impacts on the reproduction rates of the native birds and reptile species that were present on the mascarenes. And also the macaque, it spreads the invasive plants, which become very rapidly growing compared to the slow growing native plants. So if you compare the forest this is a native forest of Mauritius as it is today. And this is the same kind of forest, which is where Chinese guava, Psidium cattolianum, has spread. So in terms of layering and space, we can see just the high degree of competition that is going to happen here for nutrients, for space, water, light, sunlight, etc. And these are slow growing and these are faster growing. And ultimately, what happened over these islands, we suffered from extinction. So these are some of the main animals that went extinct during the short period of time. So this is the dodo, which came from Mauritius, okay? And it went extinct very quickly after humans set foot on the island. This is the solitaire bird from Rodrigues. So the peculiarity between these two birds were that they were flightless birds. They were here thriving on the islands, far from predators, and they lost their ability to fly with their atrophied wings. So this is why they couldn't fly away when they were chased and hunted, and then they also had slow reproductive rates. And these are other birds that went extinct. But also we lost the 2 species of tortoises that were found on Mauritius, and owls, parakeets, snakes, skinks, and so on. So one might say that extinction might form part of natural process. And what I'm talking about is not so alarming. But when we see the time of colonization, like within 100 years or less, the dodo went from being abundant to extinct, which is very a short period of time on when we speak about biodiversity loss. And this bird also went from abundant to extinct, mascarene teal, very, very quickly. Now, this is for Mauritius, and I'm also showing here the time when animals were introduced, invasive animals were introduced. And this is the case for Réunion Island. And as you can see here, there were a lot of extinction very quickly when colonization began, from abundant here to extinction, and with the introduction of introduced animals. Now,
please, Bhamani, please wind up your presentation.
Yeah. So what will be the role of museums in all these? The museums around the world have been highlighting the extinction through watercolors and paintings and etc. as conservation of the artwork, okay? But also the museum have got the role to continue the research to kind of understand the biology of these animals and how they were. These are some of the research which have been published from Réunion and Mauritius. But most importantly, about public education, these are extracts from postal museums to educate the public about the extinction and also about the richness of the native plants. And this is an exhibition at the Blue Penny Museum, like a coin museum, but talking about endemic fauna in Mauritius. And this is a skeleton of a dodo, which has been discovered from the marshy land in the Natural History Museum of Mauritius. But here I'm speaking about Îles-et-Grethes Nature Reserve in Mauritius. It's a nature reserve, but it has bronze model, life-size specimen, life-size model of species that were once present in Mauritius and how they would have appeared in the vegetation. And some of the programs on Îles-et-Grethes Nature Reserve is about public education. And I found in one of my studies, in my PhD studies, that interacting with biodiversity in such a way, and that the extinct species, they do contribute to elicit situational interest among students. So just to conclude, so we've got like more than 100,000 museums in the world and about 300 science centers. Just before we spoke about the bridging the gap between history, science, art, and towards a more holistic approach to educate the public and to do research and to present our exhibits and layout of our exhibitions. So while probably it's just a school for thought and a reflection about how culture has evolved, how nature has evolved, and what's the socio-economic impact. So just the food for thought, and so that ultimately we are able to reach, to contribute significantly to achieve the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhamani, for a very beautiful and thought-provoking presentation. Now I think the first half session is over, and I am shifting session to Dr. Sumaira Javed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have three speakers in this session. The first paper is, of course, by myself, and the other speaker is Dr. Ufak Inam, who is also the faculty member of College of Art and Design, University of the Punjab, and the other speaker is Anila Zulfikar, who is also the faculty member at Punjab University. I think I'm going to start my paper to save the time as well. The topic of my presentation is Silk Route and Art of Pakistan, a visual review. The meta-narrative of people traveling from one place to another, along with their ideas, beliefs, and material belongings, has always played a major role in the propagation and amalgamation of art. This paper discusses the culture of visual arts in Pakistan, many of them sacred to the Silk Route. For centuries, the transportation of patterns, designs, and techniques of art through the Silk Route have been closely associated with greater narrative of the transport of the beliefs, idea system, and technology. The trade routes acted as the communication highways in the ancient times. New discoveries, religious norms, artistic styles, languages, and rituals, as well as products and raw materials, were permeated by people moving from one place to another to carry out trade and business. These connections are reflected, for examples, in the sculptural styles of Gandhara, modern-day Pakistan, and northern India. For many instances, arts of Silk Route were actually the sacred arts of the religious cultures such as Buddhism and Islam. Religion has always been inseparable from arts, and a good part of the art of Silk Route was religious. Till date, the best known examples of the arts of Silk Route has been the Buddhist art of murals and sculptures in temples and caves across the Indian subcontinent. Apart from the sculpture and illustrative art, the art of the Silk Route comprises textiles, ceramics, metalworks, glass, and a wide range of ornamental techniques relating to the objects of decor and utility. Carved in the province of Gandhara, part of present-day Pakistan and Afghanistan, in the 2nd century CE, we find one of the first images of Buddhist idols in human form. Unlike anthropomorphic Buddhist images carved farther south in India, these Gandharan figures, which sprouted from the provincial Roman models, adorned heavy toga-like robes and have wavy hair. The figural tradition of Buddhist art spread through Central and East Asia and also to South Asia, taking on local and regional characteristics. Chinese genre of landscape painting is also partly noted in the Buddhist period, Buddhist pictorial art, the background settings made by the Buddhist muralists and the wood block printers from illustrative stories from Buddha's life are some such special examples. In addition to these, Chinese motifs traveled along the Silk Road to Persia, present-day Iran, where the Chinese landscape backgrounds comprising of mountains treated in layer plains and strong outlines and mountains, ridges with dark trees then became notable features of Persian miniatures. Consequently, these Chinese motifs indirectly permeated in the Mughal art through Persian art. This is a Persian miniature painting, and we can see so many Chinese motifs in this painting, the treatment of the water and treatment of the clouds, especially. Consequently, these Chinese motifs indirectly permeated in the Mughal art through Persian art. Much of the Chinese aesthetics is also derived from Mongols, the Mughal ancestors who ruled over Chinese lands and incorporated their designs in Mongol art. Nevertheless, the Persian and Mughals were profoundly interested in Chinese motifs associated with mythology, clouds, plants, and animals. Such fictional creatures and other elements proved to be an effective way of both imitating art and integrating Chinese imagery into the Mughal lexicon.
Dr. Ali, I couldn't see Madame
Yes.
Sumera.
I am checking. She's not
Yes.
online, I think.
I think, I think there is connection problem.
Let me call her. I'm calling her to know what is happening.
Thank you so much.
Maybe her PPT presentation doesn't work. I don't know, but I guess.
She's not online now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Maybe there's a power failure, or because she is also not attending her WhatsApp call. So
Just wait, let me call her.
Yes.
हाँ जी आप कॉल पे हैं Dr. Ali, I guess she is rejoining us. Please check her.
I'm checking. She's not in the waiting room.
No, she is just trying to rejoin us. Yes, she is there.
Yes, I
she lost
saw
the
and
connection.
I accept. Yes.
Yeah. I guess she lost the connection. No problem.
Okay. She is in the Zoom meeting now.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's what happens so often.
So embarrassing.
No, it's fine. Please do continue.
Okay. Very likely the most noticeable and salient image extracted from the Chinese mythology has been the dragon. And we can see the dragon in the image.
Sorry, we can't see your presentation. Please reload again. We saw your presentation. Make it full screen, please.
I'm trying. You can see the presentation now.
Yes, yes, it is visible. No, now it is removed.
Thank you so much.
No,
most,
it is removed. It is removed, ma'am. You need to re-upload, please.
We saw black screen now. Maybe there is some problem for the making full screen.
okay. Now you can see the
Please
screen.
try it again in normal case. Please try it again. At the bottom left, you tried 2 times, but after that we only saw the black screen. We don't know the reason. Maybe you can try it again.
Ma'am, it's the left side, except at the bottom at your left side. There's a full screen, option.
I know. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Carry on. We can see this. No problem. If it's problem, let's just leave it. Oh yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyways, China. Sorry. I go back again. Very likely the most noticeable and salient image extracted from the Chinese mythology has been the dragon. Ferocious, mystical, and powerful, the dragon is the combination of the divine horse, fish, and the snake, which are in turn images taken from Buddhist art that had traveled along the Silk Route. Umar Defeats a Dragon is the best painting to be taken as an example of such a design, where one can witness the Caliph Umar challenging an alien creature in front of an enthralled crowd. Many other similarly captivating paintings comprising of Chinese imagery made their way into Hamzanama, a series of paintings commissioned by the Mughal Emperor Akbar, which illustrate the voyages of the Prophet's uncle Hamza. The famous Mughal artist Ustad Mansoor's famed painting, A Pair of Cranes, is also assumed to be profoundly inspired by the Chinese admiration of cranes. Merchants traveling on Silk Road established Central Asia as a hub of cultural exchange, which is why the amalgamation of art and culture was formed. Dragon is one such visual example. It will not be wrong if we call it the image of the East and the West. For Chinese, since times immemorial, the myth of the dragon signified the immortal, and the omnipresent portrays the monarch and king ruler, yet it was belief of the people that it belonged to them as well. Long before the Buddhists introduced the idea of evil dragons, Chinese firmly held the belief that the creature was a harbinger of good fortune. Chinese pottery is also an important example of the influence of Chinese art and the role of Silk Route. The typical Chinese white and blue porcelain vase became a popular decoration for the Mughals and the Chinese around the 16th to 17th century. These artifacts signify an exchange of ideas beyond simple trade. Akil Solangi, a contemporary Pakistani artist, pays keen attention to the faith of and religious beliefs reflecting in art and architecture along Silk Route. His series of paintings emerging after his visit to China offers a powerful blend of imagery and motifs spanning centuries of religious and cultural thought process in this region. Chinese dragons and lotus flowers intermingle with diversely improvised colors and forms of waves and ripples, symbolizing Indus River, which flows through Pakistan from Tibetan borders to Arabian Sea, as can be seen in the paintings Untitled 2013. And Untitled 2014. Solangi's travels to religious and cultural centers in China culminated in his newfound infatuation with Chinese art. New elements in his art incorporated a profound holiness and mysticism. Lotus flowers on the hand railing of the Forbidden City caught my eye immediately. He mentioned it shows spirituality and also symbolizes Buddha, and Buddhism has been a part of his painting since 2011. It was also around that time that he brought lotus to life. For the first time in his paintings, he used gold leaf to draw the lotus and to signify special spiritual importance, he added. Solangi's previous work illustrates his extensive and innovative use of flower patterns such as hibiscus, periwinkle, and tulip. And the later two, along with lotus, tiptoed into his art after his travel to Silk Road along Karakoram Highway and to China. One of his paintings of the Forbidden City shows a cloud of purple colored periwinkles hovering above the sacred palace railing. Periwinkle is among imperial flowers in China and is considered royal. His deliberate choice of mauve, a royal color, enlivens the splendor of periwinkle motif and the royal palace. The Chinese art tradition manifests on element of religious symbolism and the sacred. Solangi frequently exploits this perception through the use of motifs and imagery, reveal diverse atmosphere, moments, and locale in this series of paintings, adding fresh flair to the centuries-old lore. Another Pakistani artist, R.M. Naim. R.M. Naim's paintings, The Northern Encounter 2, focuses on conventions and components of Buddhism, particularly in South Asia and Far East. In his work, Burma defines the symbolic spirituality and harmony of Buddha. Grace in R.M. Naim's work suggests an unruffled serenity attributed to Gandhara stone sculpture, even to the headless Buddha imagery. Similarly, Khadim Ali painted Buddha in Untitled 3 as he could imagine Buddhas of Bamiyan even before he went to that site. These imagined visual memories were formed by fragments of stories narrated by his grandparents who lived in Bamiyan. His first travel to his ancestral land was in 2002, and certainly felt this urge to react to the destruction of gigantic Buddhas. Kausar Iqbal is another artist who has used the image of dragon as a symbol. Mughal iconography replicates layers of meanings in Atif Khan's prints. His work, Celebration 1, contains multiple Indo-Persian miniature influences, such as Mughal king riding a horse, placed in the foreground, surrounded by 5 trees and foliage, fairies and Chinese cloud. Chinese clusters of clouds have been popular in Pakistani miniature painting. Stylization of clouds can be seen in the miniature of Ustad Bashir This is graphite on Wesley, so this is black and white. This is, we can see the treatment of clouds in Ustad Bashir's work. And Aslan Farooqi's static. This is another painting of Ustad Bashir. The treatment of clouds is similar. Aslan Farooqi static. Again, we can see the treatment of clouds, which is very similar to the treatment of Chinese clouds. These clouds are also known as clouds of fortune and symbolize prophecy of prosperity and good luck. Chinese pronounce yon meaning good destiny in the same fashion as they utter word for cloud. The archetypal cloud motif or pattern signifies fervor, contentment, and inner harmony, and appears in a variety of stylized design, adoring embroidery and attire imprinted on emerald, jade, and abundant ink drawings, paintings, and sculptures, straddling centuries-old Chinese art. This is an ancient Chinese textiles example. We can see the image of dragon and small clouds on the desk. With the invasion of Mughals in the land of the India subcontinent, present-day Pakistan, India, these miniature traditions traveled along with them into and were soon a significant part of the arts of the subcontinent. Mubin Akhtar is a Pakistani artist, but who currently living in United Kingdom. We can see the same clouds and the treatment of Chinese style of painting in his miniature. These miniature paintings travel along with them into and were soon a significant part of the arts of subcontinent. With the partition of India, Pakistan brought along its fair share of these traditions of art to the newly found nation. And since then, Pakistani art have been under influence of these Silk Route traditions of art. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Sumera, for your very important presentation. Could you please close your presentation, PPT? Thank you. Thank you very much. And you are moderator, Madam Sumera. You can continue the session, please. Thank you. Open your microphone, please.
Sumera, kindly अपना mic unmute कर लें.
Please, Madam Sumera, open your microphone and as a moderator of the session, is part of the session.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me now?
Continue to moderate the session, please. Thank you.
Ufak, can you hear me? Thank you so much. Our next presenter is Dr. Ufak Inam from College of Art and Design, University of the Punjab. And I'm so sorry for the inconvenience.
Kindly unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now? I hope I unmute my mic. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ufak, the speaker, Dr. Ufak Inam.
Yes. Ufak An.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so everybody, salam. This is Dr. Ufak An. I'm from College of Art and Design, University of the Punjab, Lahore, and I've recently completed my PhD from University of Applied Arts, Vienna, Austria. So today's topic is design and material culture along the Silk Route, contemporary findings in Pakistan. So I would be talking on design and material culture along the Silk Route and how we find contemporary elements in our art, society, and culture. My focus would remain on the material culture and commodity exchange through consumption as usability. The presentation would also cover the social reality created by modernized form of traditional objects of everyday. The trade routes collectively known as the Silk Route not only allowed merchants throughout Asia and Europe to exchange goods, but they also bring together people in disparate parts of the continent to new belief systems of government, literally genres, musical styles, and visual forms. In turn, these exchanges shaped each region's culture, art, language, philosophy, religion, economics, and politics. Now let me explain material culture and commodity exchange. With the exchange of objects as trade goods, the material culture traveled through miles across the globe, transferring commodity and its value as well. The material culture refers to the social reality created by humans and translated into objects surrounding them for the sustenance and perpetuation. Material culture also refers to the consumption, usage, creation, trading of the objects. Along with material and commodity exchange, behaviors, norms, rituals, processes, knowledge, and tradition were also exchanged. Thus, material culture also refers to the human-object relationship taking place between the two. Modernity and traditional elements were also exchanged, enriching both routes from west to east and through east to west. As we all know, commodity exchange which took place from east to west were commodities like silk, tea, dyes, medicine, paper, spices, gunpowder, china, cups, vases, to name a few. And from west to east, the commodity exchange took place like horses, grapevine and grapes, camels, slaves, weapon and armors, woolen blankets, rugs, carpets, textiles, animal furs and skins, to name a few. Thus, the Silk Route served as an outlet to connect cultures with goods, ideas, religions, artistic influences, and more. These routes fostered shared culture, transcended existing borders, and laid the foundation for collaborative cultural development politically, economically, and socially through commodities, through object and material culture. Now coming to the main focus of this presentation, contemporary findings in Pakistan, I would be talking about the contemporary design culture and how we can see bits and pieces of the influence in everyday objects. Like many other regions and countries, Pakistan is also formed on a land already enriched with culture and tradition. The centuries-old impact of Silk Route can be seen in our contemporary surroundings in the shape of material goods in modernized form. By modernized form, it will be easy to relate them to commodity and consumer culture of New World. The impact of Silk Route can be seen in Pakistan contemporary design culture, including textiles, ceramics, truck art, craft manufacturing, jewelry design, and kilims and rugs, to name a few. The first observation, as I have made, is through truck art. Considering contemporary elements traced along the popular truck art, it is very interesting to note that decorative and adornation techniques of caravans on Silk Route have been trickled down to the adornation of current-day truck art. The metal tassels and cloth pom-poms can be dated back to the caravans and caravan-style journey, making themselves more audible and visible. The cloth pom-poms can be dated back as horse-tail, tuck banners, and flags. So the idea of adorning the vehicle is still consumed and still consumed, and the elements of decoration are still designed vigorously with great demand in the market. These are the Pakistani truck art, and if you travel across the country, like if we travel across the border, if we see the truck art of Afghanistan, most of the decorative elements are similar, but obviously the iconography and the style of adornation is a little bit different. Fusion pattern and motif in contemporary textile design of Pakistan. As we all know, Pakistan's cotton and lawn industry is thriving and popular all across the world. The contemporary style seen in textile designing, especially motif and pattern making, be it in prints, digital prints, or embroidery, motifs and patterns are proudly borrowed, mixed, and consumed as modern element. The utility of these motifs also refer to the alternate modernity in attire industry. Ceramics of South Punjab, Multani, blue on blue. South Punjab, and the ceramic blue on blue is quite famous. The ceramic making technique, color, material, and aesthetics are being practiced in this region for thousands of years. The contemporary stylized Multani ceramics, especially blue on blue, is highly stylized and inspired by the blue pottery of China. Contemporary stylized ceramics comes into modern focus and are utilized as marker of tradition and highly popular in gift-giving culture. The industrialized form of these ceramics is becoming greatly popularized around the country and globally for export and for export as well. Kilims and rugs, the luxurious Central Asian style. Rugs, carpets, kilims have been a sign of luxury since history. In Pakistan, public and private spaces are creatively decorated with kilims and rugs, both as marker of artistness, luxury, and tradition as well. Interestingly, the motifs from these rugs and kilims are copied, manipulated, and reproduced in original technique and industry as well. These rugs are consumed as luxury traditional element, but unfortunately, their origin and design is never been adequately discussed in Pakistani academics. Now coming to the jewelry fashion. Now, if we look at the jewelry, which is termed as antique jewelry in vernacular, its modernized form and consumption refers to both in slow and fast fashion. The technique of melting gold and silver coins are still used in making of these jewelry pieces. Stone cutting, glass incorporation, and intricate metalwork on jewelry is a great example how these art pieces are still celebrated equally in modern times with young and old generation. The object culture around antiques can be dated back to trade and barter system around the Silk Route. The elements of exoticness associated to antique objects are still cherished in every city of Pakistan. If you visit any metropolitan city of Pakistan, the buying and selling of antiques and mysteriousness attached to ingenuity to antique culture is very interesting. So I guess we had a time crunch, so I just completed my presentation quickly. And to conclude my point of view, these are some contemporary findings I have talked about today, which silently carries a tradition of thousands of years. The topic of design and material culture around Silk Route is highly untouched in academia, and this presentation is only a part of a bigger debate. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ufak. Our next speaker is Anila Zulfikar. Anila Zulfikar is currently working as I introduced her before starting the conference, is currently working as assistant professor, College of Art and Design. Apart from a teacher or assistant professor, she is a practicing artist and a writer as well. Anila Zulfikar? Anila. Anila, you can start your presentation.
I couldn't see Anila. Anila is there?
Yeah, she's there.
Yes, she
I
is in
couldn't
here.
see.
She's here.
Yes,
If
okay.
you can make a call to her.
Take a time, okay.
Likewise, Dr. Ufak Inam is also a very good practicing designer.
Thank you, madam.
She's a very good teacher and a very good designer as well. And we all, the member from College of Art and Design, are apart from teaching there, we all are practicing as well in our fields. Like I am working as a principal there, but apart from that, I'm practicing artist as well. Anila is a writer as well. I'm trying to call her, but she's not picking my call. Yeah.
I'm really sorry. At the moment, the failure of
That's
light.
fine. We all are facing these kind of challenges in the cyberspace.
Exactly.
No worries.
Anila, you can start your presentation. We're waiting for you. In fact, we all are waiting for you.
I have come.
Hello.
Come back.
I think there is internet problem of internet connection.
I think she is trying to share her screen.
No, I did it.
Dr. Smith.
Yes, Dr. Anila, do you face any problem in sharing screen?
I guess Anila is speaking, but we cannot hear her. Yes, Anila, now we can see your PowerPoint, but we cannot hear you. It shows that you're talking on the microphone, but we cannot hear you.
Anila, check your microphone. I think it is mute. Please unmute your microphone. Anila. I think she's not there.
She's here, but I guess there's kind of weak connection there, therefore we cannot hear her.
Presentation is also stuck.
I believe we can proceed with the next speaker in the meantime.
I think
No, she's the last speaker, and then we have end note speaker, Dr. Fang. So that's why we are waiting for her.
I think there is a serious big problem, internet connections, I think.
I think we should move to our keynote speaker.
Our end note speaker. Okay, so Dr.
Okay,
Mishkatullah, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
This
Okay,
is-
please,
No,
please
I
invite
think,
our end note
now
speaker
we-
kindly.
Now our
Now,
so
now invite Mr. Mishkatullah for the end note
yes.
and for the conclusion of
Thank you.
for the session.
Thank you, Dr. Samara. Now I will invite our colleague, Fedra Fang. She is Secretary ICOM NatHist, and she is also associated with National Taiwan Museum, where she is working as a research assistant. She did MSc Zoology, and currently she is doing PhD in climate change. So I will invite Ms. Fedra. Over to Fedra.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you. So greetings from Taiwan. I'm currently at home. I have to admit that I am not a researcher in Silk Road culture or cities, but Taiwan is under the culture of Silk Road in some aspects. And today I would like to introduce one of my projects that allows to see how we can find merits in festive food cultures for ideas of sustainable development. And so can you all see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, so just one quick slide to introduce the place I work at. So this is around the neighborhood of my museum. In the middle, that is the main building of our museum, National Tile Museum. It sits inside 228 Peace Park. It's very close to Presidential Office and also Taipei Main Station. So after the pandemic, I wish I can welcome you all to Taiwan and visit our museum. Okay, so in 2015, yeah, in 2015, our museum has co-organized the annual meeting of ICOM-NatHist with ICOM-NatHist. And on that meeting specifically, we have announced Taipei Declaration on biodiversity conservation. So natural history museums are not just museums that disseminate scientific knowledge, but also we recognize our responsibilities in cultural and biodiversity conservation. And especially, there is one topic in recent years that highlights this theme, and that is Anthropocene. Probably some of you have heard of it. It's an idea in recent years that we've been discussing in Natural History Museum community, especially when we are talking about sustainable development. And in this picture, this is the first exhibition in the US featuring Anthropocene, and it took place at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History in 2017. But this discussion and idea or exhibitions actually started earlier in Europe. And when we are talking about Anthropocene, we often talk about how we are trying to, limit our emissions, limit our pollutions to create a safe operating zone on the Earth. So planet boundary is one of the key ideas. Or when we are talking about how to achieve sustainable development, we also talk about how we're not just thinking about technology and science. We also have to consider market, we consider citizen participation and stay. And these ideas are also disseminated in the exhibitions of natural history museums concerning Anthropocene. However, there's one factor that I found haven't been highlighted yet in Natural History Museum's Anthropocene exhibition, and that is culture. So in my museum, I had a project called Sustainable New Year's Table Project. This is because when we are talking about environmental sustainability, there is no better topic than food that will attract people, because food is literally our daily life practices, the connection of our daily life practices and our environment. So I been, the museum of mine has been proposing this idea of having a more sustainable New Year's table. So you can see the posters of our event. And this is the New Year's reunion dinner at my house. You can see we have the whole table of food. A little introduction of my background. I'm actually Han Chinese, you probably can see from my appearance. So my father comes from the post-World War II Chinese refugee family, and my mother also from Han Chinese, but they're from the immigrants that came to Taiwan probably 300 years ago. And in a Han Chinese New Year's reunion dinner, you get to see all kinds of food. However, there is some problem with our New Year's food. So this is a little simple statistics I've done. In our, let me go back. So in our New Year, we usually, following by Buddhist tradition, we have to pray to gods, pray to some local gods. And to do that, we have to prepare food or sacrifice, at least of 3 kinds. Animals that crawl on the land, animals that fly in the sky, or animals that swim in the sea. So in Taiwan, you see, it's an island. So we have a lot of seafood. So fish is usually the key feature, one of the important elements in this kind of reunion dinner. And I have done a little statistical analysis on the fish dish in New Year's fish dish in our news report. And you can see that in the past, there were just very few, not so many news reports talking about fish dish. But however, around 1995, the number of news reports has soared, rocketing. And this is probably because we have a more advanced fishery techniques, and also from that time, a lot of people started to choose to buy take-out food from hotels or restaurants instead of making these New Year's dish themselves, because it's too much of trouble. So on the news report, you get to see people, hotels advertising that, you can spare the efforts and just buy the food from the hotel. And since that, the New Year's food are become a competition, battlefield of a lot of non-traditional New Year's food. For example, shark fin soup. Shark fin soup has never been a traditional element of a New Year's reunion dinner, but because of the competition of different restaurants and hotels, they came up with their best or most expensive banquet dish. And so also you get to see that the consumption of shark fin soup increased since that time. And this is a picture that I took in the local market. You can see that there is one species or one big group of fish that look very same, but they're quite different in 2 groups. So on the right one, you get to see a fish with some scratches, but they're bigger. And also on the right one, you get to see smaller fish, but they are like smooth on the surface. So that indicates they're from different shores. And on this kind of traditional wet market, you never know where your fish come from, and that could be some problem. So according to scientific reports or research, we do see the decrease of fishery resources. And also from this kind of statistics, you see the inshore fishery resources around Taiwan has decreased as well since 1980s. And also for those offshore fishery industry, they might involve in human rights issues. For example, exploiting foreign fish workers. So, but these are all actually very contradictory to our traditional culture. During the New Year, we usually say 年年有余. This means that you get fish to eat every year, but also you will have more than what you wish for. And that is actually sustainability, a concept of sustainability. So in our project, museum project, we are trying to reconnect to these ideas with our New Year's food. And in Taiwan, there's not only just Han Chinese people, we have a lot of ethnic groups. For example, our indigenous groups, there are at least 16 that are officially recognized. We also have a lot of new immigrants from Southeast Asian countries. And from their New Year's food or their festive food, you get to see some merits that probably shared among all cultures. So for example, one of the speakers in the previous sessions has mentioned about indigenous knowledge, and that also exists in our culture. For example, this is a community in Bangza or Amis community, and they can recognize edible herbs just on the lawn, just at the roadsides. And also, they celebrate common ingredients even in their most important festivals. For example, this is taro. And when they're using taro in their festive food, it can be done in several ways. For example, they will dry the taro and you can see this is and shred them into pieces like this. And you can fry, stir-fry meat or vegetables with this kind of taro. You can also batter them, beat them into these particles, and they can also be blended with meat. And during the festivals, they would try to make these taros into sticky cakes. And this is a very important kind of food. And also, those elders that know how to make this traditional food are actually the vector of traditional culinary culture. So this is a picture that I'm learning from one of our indigenous friends on making this kind of food. It is called abai. You see the yellow one here, over here, and that is made of millet. So millet is very important to a lot of indigenous communities. And there are a lot of varieties of millet. For example, this is a sticky one. They also have non-sticky one, but like this one, but this is very good and nutritious for elders or pregnant women. So they do have these kind of things. And also the education on making local food allows more attention on local environmental issues. This is an example in the Taidong Amis village that they are teaching their teenage girls how to harvest those edible plants just at their neighborhood, or collecting food in intertidal zone. That's called Mitsukyu. And another very important merit is to share the food with your family and village neighbors. So in Han Chinese New Year's banquet, we usually would, trying to have very expensive food just within the family members. And this is something under the influence of, the competition between the hotels and restaurants on takeout New Year's food. And quality time is more important than expensive and excess food. So for example, this is an example in Rukai tribe. They're making very simple festive food because they have more important events to participate during their harvest rituals. So they have to keep their food simple so that they have more time to, connect and chat with their family members. And these are examples from the immigrants in Taiwan, and their food, it's very good, of course, but they would make the food with the family members. Comparing with Han Chinese, in Han Chinese family, it's usually the housewife, the grandma that's making the food. But in other cultures, the men and women share the responsibilities of making the food. And also, some of the people, they would try to utilize every bit of the food. For example, in one of the Rukai tribe, they're using the alcohol byproduct feed. And or in other tribes, when they kill a pig for their rituals, they would try to use every part of the pig. And in our museum, we are also cooperating with chefs. So we try to collect examples of how we can utilize unfinished food and create a second surprise. So for example, we invite the culinary communities to join in this project, and we co-create the sustainable New Year's recipes. And this will be these are all open to public for download, for use. And this is one of my favorite. And I would like to show you, this is from a species called Lodigo squid. So this is because I'm just beside my squid. And this is very common in Taiwan. And this kind of animal, it can grow very fast and it's abundant. So it's comparing with other seafood, it's very sustainable. And so we are using very easy methods to share with people how we can make our own sustainable New Year's dish. So this is on our event, people get to eat these things for free. And we are also cooperating with eco-friendly farmers to promote this idea. And from their eco-friendly methods, they also had to learn from traditional fish farming methods or rice farming methods. So again, the traditional knowledge is very important. We are also inviting local communities like children from a fish village to teach the children in the city how to eat fish with bones. And we are also encourage people after all these events and sharing to participate in our initiative on social media. So this is the poster of this year, 2021. We are trying to highlight the importance of cultural diversity and traditional culture on sustainable development. And I welcome you to join me in this event. Especially, I am not very familiar with your culinary festival culinary culture, and I hope I will have more interactions with you after this event. So thank you very, very much.
Dr. Mishkatullah is there? Anyways, thank you so much, Dr. Frank, for your wonderful presentation and for your accepting our invitation as an keynote speaker. Well, this is our final session, and I hope everyone has enjoyed this final, the 4-day conferences. And to be very honest, we have learned a lot about Silk Route, the variety, the art, culture, its archaeological, richness, and many other things. For the concluding remarks and the vote of thanks, I would like the Secretary General ICOM Pakistan, Iza Khan, to say some words and conclude the session. Iza Khan, please.
Thank you, Zaida. I believe it should be you, but that's fine. I can say thanks to everybody on behalf of you as well as ICOM Pakistan. I couldn't, unfortunately, I couldn't attend one session yesterday, but those 3 days which I attended, including today, those were just mind-blowing, with loads of information and many unique and informative perspectives which we didn't realize earlier on. With the scientific background and the art perspective, I believe we have learned a lot from these sessions. So thank you so much, all the collaborating partners, the speakers, including keynote and endnote speakers, the participants, audience, our technical partner from QMed, including Ma'am Saadat, Dr. Ali, Jamile, Nafise, Zahida, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of this initiative, and we look forward to seeing you in our next group, the group 3 session starting from July 6th onwards. So I think that's all. Thank you so much once again on behalf of ICOM Pakistan.
Thank you so much, Iza.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. So with this good note, we will say goodbye and Allah Hafiz to all. We'll see you soon, definitely.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
And thank you so much, Nafisa and Jamila, for your technical assistance. Without
You're
you,
welcome. Thank you, Zaida.
thank you so much. It would not be possible
And
without you two guys.
thank you to Dr. Anil.
Thank you for all from Mongolia.
Kamudu.
Yeah,
We'll
thank
see
you.
again.
Okay, okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Fedra, for end note speech.
Yes. Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you, Feng. Yes,
Thank
bye.
you. I hope to collect more examples of sustainable festive food from different regions, especially friends of this session. So if you're interested, you can email me.
Yes.
That would be great,
Yes.
for sure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.